Christopher Columbus, American hero or psycho killer? Stick around, find out. Woo-hoo! You might not know this, but Jay actually won an award in the 3rd grade for playing Christopher Columbus on Halloween. It was big news all over the Georgia Gazette. So tonight.
No, dude, I didn't
even. See? So tonight, I brought him in because tonight Enigmites, we're going to talk about the truth about Christopher Columbus. Because our last podcast episode, well, the previous one that we did together, we destroyed the Salem witch trials. So I said to myself, you know what? Not going to pass this opportunity up. We're going to get into it. So Jay, are you ready?
I am.
All right.
I got his journal and everything.
Got his journal. I did my own research. But
I see that.
You know how we do around here, nerds. This story, as always, we're going to give you the truth and the facts, but I'm telling you the truth is legitimately stranger than fiction. In fact, they should teach this story in school. Kids will probably go to school more. Anyways, so let's get into this, Jay. You ready? Tell me about your hero, man. Sure. Tell me about your guy.
So Christopher Columbus, explorer, right, went to the king and queen of Spain, right?
The monarchs. Their name was Ferdinand and Isabella.
Yeah. They sponsored his trip, right? So these are dudes that, like, really what they're doing is they're going, hey, I heard that there's a whole lot of rich stuff over in that new continent over there. I'm gonna go get some. I'll give you some if you buy me a ship.
Yeah.
Right? Supply me with a crew, like total mercenary kind of dudes, right? So these are not like, I'm going for the good of humanity kind of guys, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you got to think about the time period, 1492. Like, this is like, what? Not too far out of the Dark Ages, man.
No, it was actually the peak of what I would say is the peak of
the Enlightenment, or the...
Well, I would say Western expansion. I would say Western expansion, probably the peak of that. Spain was at that time a serious world superpower. Serious world superpower.
Weird enoughly, also Portugal.
Yeah. So was Portugal. So was England, but Spain was a serious.
They were a serious power.
Serious power. So I mean, it's funny because he's regarded as an Italian hero, but literally the Spanish paid for his expedition. So the monarchs Ferdinand and Isabel said, "Hey, look," he exactly what he said. He went there and said, "Hey, look, I want to look for this new land. I want to do this, that, and the other." But of course, there's some extra history in there about how there was a reward that he could bring to Spain, the glory of Spain, conquistadoring or whatever to Spain or whatnot. But I'll tell you a couple other, at the very end, I got some good conspiracy theories for you as well, right? So, 1492, sailed the ocean blue, right? And so he's heading across. The story would have you believe that he sailed across the ocean, which the Atlantic, came across the Atlantic, and
landed where?
It was on the verge of getting eaten by his crew, and they were scared they want to fall off the edge of the globe. That's another thing. That's another thing I can tell you right there as well. These people already knew the Earth wasn't flat because the Portuguese were trading with the Japanese at the time. The English were trying to get involved with the Japanese at the time. So they already knew that you could go, one way. You could go down. So they used to leave and they would go down. They would go around Africa and come away. He was trying to, so his plan was, I'll go the other way, establish a route to the Indies is something like that, right? So they'll have you believe that he just landed in
the spice trade.
Yeah, exactly. The spice trade.
That was a big thing right there, right? Yeah. Like that was valuable stuff back then because that allowed you to preserve meat for longer periods of time.
Oh, really?
Right? Spices weren't just like, kind of like make it taste good, right? When you smoke meat and you put herbs and spices and stuff on it, it helps preserve the meat.
Really? Because I thought who controls the spice controls the galaxy.
Controls the universe. Well, I mean, that's pretty much how it is, right?
I thought it was for the engineers to be able to travel.
The spice must flow
through the space lanes. Anyways, we just nerded out there. We just nerded out there. That's a little Dune reference for you. News.
That's one of my favorite books. Anyway,
so they would have you believe
it talks about resource allocation, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Which is what this is all about. I mean, Christopher Columbus was trying to do the spice route from the other side. He's like, everybody's going this way, I'm gonna go that way.
He wanted to get rich for sure, and he wanted to probably get famous a little bit. But so there was definitely a greed aspect.
Well, I mean,
in
they
there.
kind of go hand in hand in 1500s, right?
Yeah. So they would have you believe that old boy just landed in South Carolina, and that's not even close to what happened, right? So he hit what we would consider modern day. I mean, he landed. There's no modern day about it. He landed in the Bahamas, Dominican Republic, and what's known as Haiti today. But back then, Haiti was called Hispaniola or something weird like that.
Hispaniola.
Something strange like that, right? So, needless to say, Columbus's legacy that we're taught is a little bit controversial. Now, I'm gonna put an asterisk on this, right? Because unlike the Salem witch trials, where I just totally destroyed it, right? Christopher Columbus, whether you like him or don't like him, accomplished something great. Even if it was by accident, he did something that is great. History knows this guy's name, right or wrong. When I say right or wrong, I'm not. I think in 2024, arguing about the morality of what was going on in 1492, I think that's stupid myself, right? Because if you haven't noticed, the morals going on right now aren't that great either. So enough of that. We're not that type of show, ladies and gentlemen.
The thing, what's so interesting about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
When were the morals good?
Exactly right now. So listen. So yeah.
When were humans ever a really good moral society?
The Romans.
Sure.
We built roads.
Yeah,
Romans
absolutely.
built roads. Learn,
they
nerds.
Did. They were very civilized people.
Very civilized. Nerds, learn. So anyways.
Absolutely.
So here you go. So first things first, I'm going to put the spoiler alert to the front of this, right? Because Christopher Columbus finding the Bahamas, the Dominican Republic, Cuba, Haiti. I mean, Haiti and Dominican Republic, that's the same island. Doesn't matter. Finding that island, that's not the cool part about this story. The fact that he ran into mermaids, UFOs, giants, and documented this stuff, that's what we're going to talk about. That's what they should be teaching. But before I'm going to do that, let me go ahead and just put this whole thing to rest.
Okay.
Christopher Columbus never set foot in North America, period. Never. Not even close. Not even Florida. Not even the Keys. Nowhere. He never set foot in the continental United States, North America, or I guess back then, or Canada, right? Closest he ever got was Cuba, which is 90 miles south of Key West, Florida, if you want to go Google that or whatever, right?
Yeah, he hit the Bahamas, Cuba, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Dominica, and Trinidad, and then coastal regions of Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. And then he never touched North America.
Never. Central and South America, he was all over that. So.
Yep.
Also, too, he supposedly became a naughty boy in Venezuela, but, we'll get to that in a second. So anyways, there's your history lessons, nerds. All right, now you got it. Christopher Columbus never touched North America, Central South America. They were in Discover America, period, right? But that's boring. Everybody knows that. That's boring. That's the boring stuff.
The Vikings discovered North America.
My man, Leif Erikson. We should be saying, Skål!
Well, okay, so they were the first Europeans to find North America. Put it that way.
Okay.
Because, there were people here, obviously, right?
No,
they kind of found it first.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
Oh, here we go.
There's trees, baby. It's just trees.
Don't do this to me, Joe.
There's trees, baby. There's trees. Anyways.
No.
Enough of that boring crap. Enough of that boring crap. Anyways, if you think so, look. And also, this is my new thing right now. Fact check me, nerds. Go look it up. Go talk it up. Go watch a 30-second TikTok video and come back and argue with me about it. Never happened.
Right.
So, anyways, so that's lie number one. Out the door. And I'll tell you at the end why they write the history the way they do. Out the door.
Because it's easier.
Here's the fun part, right? This joker actually saw on his voyage several strange things that fit right into our channel. And he wrote them down. And there was more than one witnesses. He had multiple witnesses on it. Also, too, his crew never was about to mutiny or murder him, or that's all lies. That's all to build his persona or his character, right? So, cryptid sighting number 1. And when I say number 1, that means there's going to be a number 2 and a number 3, right? Cryptid sighting number 1. On his voyage over, right? January 1493. You can go look in his diary as well. All this stuff is public information. People don't read anymore, but like if you ever, get really bored and want to try to read, go look this up. January 1943, he was actually sailing near the coast of Hispaniola, which is basically the island of, it's going to be the eastern side of the Dominican Republic where Haiti's at right now, right? He was sailing there. In his journal, he and several members of his crew said they encountered a pod, basically, of mermaids, of mer people, right? Mm-hmm. And this is how I know he's telling the truth. He described them as being ugly. These aren't the myths that we have been led to believe that mermaids look like. And if you go on YouTube, I've never had a first time encounter, but a dude was literally on Joe Rogan saying that he saw a merman one time, but the people who actually describe seeing these mermaids or these mer women is they are terrifying looking. They have the upper torso of a human, webbed hands, long fingers, claws. They have human-like features, but not a human-like face. And the lower half of their body is that of a tail, but they're also massive. They're 7, 8, 9 feet long, right? They're not little small things. So it's not like he rolled up on half naked, redhead mermaids just frolicking in the water waiting for him to come. He described what we describe modern days now as actually a mermaid. He also, in his diary too, I couldn't find that part or I didn't really understand it. I was getting bits and pieces up when I was gone. Something about their skin stood out to him as well. Like their skin was different, like almost not like translucent, but there was something with their skin that stood out as well. But go look it up for yourself.
So man. Yeah, January 9th, I almost said 1943. 1493, he described the mermaids is not half as beautiful as they are painted.
Yeah.
And so they elevated themselves above the surface of the sea. And this was off the coast of Africa near what is now the Dominican Republic. Yeah,
down there near Haiti. So that tells me right there, that's actually a really good, I actually think that's a really good find by the way he described it, right? If you wanted to lie and make something up, he would say, look, I saw these beautiful mermaids or whatever. No, he said they were ugly, basically, not half as beautiful as they sound. And also, too, I already know some of you sheep are going to say, "Oh no, what he saw was manta rays and stingrays." Jay, have you ever seen a manta ray or stingray, Jay?
Well, he didn't see a manta ray. He saw a manatee.
Manatee. You ever seen one of those, Jay?
Uh-huh.
You ever mistaken one of those for a human?
Well, here's the thing.
No, that's a yes or no question. Have you ever said, wow, look at that 400-pound fat man out there swimming in the water? I never said that, man.
Yeah. I find it to be a somewhat plausible explanation.
Me? No, heck no. No shot. I've seen manatees up close. Seen them in the wild
me too.
In Florida.
Yeah.
And I've instantly known that was a mammal of some sort, not a mermaid.
You gotta understand, though, like, this is a dude from like 1500. He's more likely to believe in a mermaid than he is in a manatee.
Jay, it's 2024. Me too. Right? That's a mermaid. I ain't got nothing to do. I know what people look like.
But that's why he said they were ugly. He said they don't look like pictures.
Ugly.
They look like the pictures. They're way uglier than the pictures.
Way uglier than the pictures, this guy. All right, so bam.
That kind of, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you see a fat man with a big bristly beard floating on his back in the ocean,
yeah,
that looks like it's got flippers for, the bottom half of his body, then yeah, I mean, you're going to be like, ugh.
Nah.
That is not what is advertised to me at all.
Let us know in the comments if you think you would ever mistake a manatee for a mermaid. Because I don't know what kind of chicks you're into, but yeah, that ain't really my thing, man.
Yeah,
so,
dude, that's why he said they were just not what they were cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Because, when you show up to the place and the picture's not, the picture doesn't match.
Hey, that's got to be the earliest form of catfishing.
Right?
You got catfished. Manatee posted on social media as a mermaid. So anyways, but before that, in October 11th, 1492, Columbus and his crew actually reported seeing a USO, an unidentified submersible object, basically a UFO that comes in and out of the water, right? So it basically happened the night before the crew actually had their first land sighting. He was reported that strange lights in the distance that he could see coming in and out of the water. Now, he was actually describing them. Some people will say that it was a ball, but that's not how he described it. He described it as a small wax candle, basically a tube coming in and out of the water that he was doing, right? Rose several times over the ocean. It was spotted by several crew members as well. So, and again,
it could have been like if there was Tic Tac back then. I wonder what he might have described it as.
Oh, yeah, man. That's a good point, bro. Yeah, right? But anyway, so...
a melting candle, right?
Yeah.
It's...
well, because you know how they're supposed to...
Yeah.
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 Oh, yeah. There you go.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, so I can also let you guys know something as well, right? Me and this cat right here, we've actually been on the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean at darkest parts of the night that you could ever imagine. 3 a.m. So dark that you can't even see your hand in front of your face. And it was so dark that the darkness actually has a weight to it. I don't know if you've ever been in that much darkness that you can feel the pressure of the weightness. You can spot a cigarette puff 30 miles away.
Bright as
easily.
A star.
And people, I'm telling you right now, if you don't believe me, I'm telling you can watch somebody smoke a cigarette and watch it light up from 30 miles away. That's how dark it gets in the ocean, in the middle of the ocean sometimes at night, especially when there's no cloud cover. The Indian Ocean, actually, when the moon is up, it's the exact opposite. It looks like daggone early morning, man. You could see for miles and miles at 3 a.m. But when that moon is covered up, it's super dark. So when these guys are saying that they're seeing a light out there in the middle of the night, these were professional sailors and they were on a wood ship and it was just making its way across. That's not a natural phenomenon. That's not a natural phenomenon.
It's not like they were flooding it. You know what I mean? It's not like there was floodlights going on or any kind of electrical interference. This is dark.
It would stand out like you have no idea, right? You would have no idea, right? It would stand out so bad.
Yeah. It would look literally like a candle flying through the air because that's the only way that they would know how to describe that thing.
For sure.
I mean, because that's what they had, right? Like they had candles and they had torches.
Yeah. That's it. And then like when you're out when you're out there at night, man, on the sea, they probably had lanterns out there, but not too many, right? So you wouldn't have a lot of light pollution for it to block you out where you couldn't see it, right? You'd be able,
there would be none because the light pollution that we put a lot of light pollution up into the sky, right? Just with all the electric lights and everything like that. But again, like I said, candles and torches, dude.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of light pollution, and especially out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah. So we saw a UFO or a USO, and pretty sure. And if you follow, we actually do UFO stuff. We've done alien abductions on here before. Jay and I've talked about the Pascagoula incident. We've brought guests on to talk about it. That area around the East Coast of all of Central and South America is littered with UFO, USO sightings from like early as like literally like the 1950s I saw a Brazil story. A lot of stuff goes on down there, right? So he's in the right area to go do it, right? So
I wonder, and see, this is where it sucks that I type too slow because I can't make this happen. But I wonder, okay, just throwing it out here. I wonder if there's like an advantage to landing a spacecraft in the equator of a planet, right?
It's a good point.
Because you have to think, like,
if it was round, nerd. Go ahead. Yeah, no. That's actually a good point, man. That is a good point. Yeah.
I hate you sometimes. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to be able to say. But
is it the Great Pyramid of Giza smack dab on the equator?
I don't know.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments on that. No. So I could tell you that.
I'm pretty sure.
I can tell you that I noticed something about that. I actually think that the southern hemisphere of the planet is probably where, if any alien armadas were going to come, they would come from there. Because I know that when I was in Diego Garcia, sometimes I would go out at night and it would be so we would be able to. We would know the rotation of our satellites, right? So we would go out and we would watch the satellites come through and they look like shooting stars, right? So we would know when our satellites, because of what we did, Jay, we would know when they shoot over, right? And I used to see all kinds of stuff down there, man. I was like, man, well, I know that's on a satellite because that's 2 hours from now. That's supposed to go down, right? And so I was like, and I would just see this stuff, but also the southern hemisphere of the globe. There's only really 3 places that we go: New Zealand, Australia, and the southern half of basically Africa, right?
Well, yeah, Africa, right?
Yeah. But other than that, man, so like it's not like it's under a constant watch or a constant monitor. And again, and if you're under the premises, and we're going to go into this premises, that this is the Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would want to come in undetected. You could come in from all different ways around it, right? So that's a good point, man. So, but also too, I also think that there is something to do with the Bermuda Triangle angle and the Dragon Triangle angle in Japan, where if you shot a rod through the Bermuda Triangle, it comes out exactly on the other side of the globe where the Japan is, the Dragon Triangle. It wouldn't surprise me, man, if the portal technology that these people use, if we're gonna nerd out, let's nerd out, man.
Do it. Let's go. If it has to be in a certain alignment with,
and it would come out. I mean, it would come out of the water.
You're going to talk about the magnetic field of the Earth.
Yeah, it would come out of the water, right?
And so that, well, yeah, but see, okay, and see, this is what's really weird, right? Because when I was doing what we were doing. You remember when I went off and did the other thing by myself for a little while? We were out in the IO, and there's a spot out there, man. Yeah. And I don't know, like, if you ever went out there, like, and hit the spot.
No. Hold on one second. When he says IO, everybody, that's the Indian Ocean. And in the Indian Ocean, there's some fiduciary that goes on out there. And I'm just telling you, man, there's some weird spots in the ocean, right? But go ahead, Jay. So, yeah. And the U.S. Navy has interest in those spots.
Dead. Yeah. Comms dead.
Yeah.
There was nothing like, and see, I was on the mid watch, and the watch officer wanted hourly reports, and I'm like, sir, if I have to come talk to you every hour and come find you,
yeah,
that means that I have to spend a half an hour finding you and then a half an hour troubleshooting, interleaved with each other. I'm not going to get anything done, sir.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to go try to fix it, and then if I make progress, I'll let you know. Dude, and there was just nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it was just dead stick. And then all of a sudden, we'd shift underway.
Yeah.
Magic.
There's a dead spot out there. So, anyways,
yeah, like there's nothing we could do about it. We hit it like 3 times,
yeah,
like did circles through it, and I was like, hey, you got to move. There's
change
something
course.
wrong here.
Gotta
Ain't
move.
nothing I can do.
So, anyway, so yeah, he saw a USO, what we would describe as a Tic Tac aircraft today, and I actually think that there are several underwater bases probably that they have on it. I also think that if you're gonna teleport or portal to a location, nothing would stop you from portaling into the ocean and then coming out that way and never be seen. But anyways, that's for another podcast. Nerds, stay on target. We're talking about nerdy other stuff here, UFO guys. Third thing this cat reported, man. Third thing, right?
Sure. What's up? Giants?
Yes, giants. Right? Yes, Christopher Columbus reported giants. Now, he said in his diary or whatever that he himself never directly encountered a giant, because I don't want to go bombastic on this. However, several of his crew members, when they came back after going in and doing their another thing too, I got to tell everybody as well, is back then the way you resupplied back then, you went to shore and you cut down coconuts and bananas and you refilled fresh water, and it got taken back to your boat, right? So people actually had to go into the jungle. You didn't have a helicopter laying pallets of Coca-Cola that you had to carry downstairs for 4 hours. That's a whole nother story. But anyways, so they reported that they saw huge indigenous people. They described them as giants. So back then, even though, all right, I'll admit, because they were all 5'6" back then, I wouldn't say that somebody 6'5" would be considered a giant, right? So so whatever they were seeing, they described them as being very, very, very large people. They described them as giants. And that falls into I challenge you, every single explorer that you can think of, from Ponce de Leon to Christopher Columbus, a couple of the other ones that went down there. Who was the guy that was looking for the Fountain of Youth? That was Ponce de Leon, right?
That was Ponce de Leon, yeah.
All these guys all reported giants. Every single one of them. I think one of the guys, I don't want to say it was Captain Hook who discovered Hawaii, but one of these guys,
Captain Cook,
Captain Hook, right?
Yeah, Captain Cook.
One of these explorers actually captured a couple of them and wanted to take them back to show them, but they got sick along the journey, and they had to throw them overboard because they died and they were starting to rot, right? But yeah, so again, that's crazy.
Yeah,
it's not the first time we've talked about giants on here too, man.
No, and that's it's so weird about it, right? Like, they keep getting mentioned. They're everywhere. Everywhere. Right? Like all through all of the old lore and old stories. And I mean, I think it's interesting. I never really watched the old History Channel Ancient Aliens thing until recently.
You're missing out, bro. Yeah.
Dude, I was sick as a dog, so I was catching up on my Ancient Aliens, other stuff. But, at some point, I know that there's people. I came across like works by a dude who was back in like the 70s or something, trying to put together all of these things, right? Like saying kind of what I've said I'd like to do if I had the time. Go through all of these old legends and just kind of do like a correlative analysis, and just look at all of the commonalities, look at all of the little hairs and threads that are completely the same, or like, kind of wibbly-wobbly, right? And just, I think that that's where right? Because you got to think about how the only way people were ever really able to pass knowledge, like knowledge transfer is a big kind of thing that I study, right? It being able to learn, right? Being able to teach someone else how to do something. It's like communication is the foundation of that, right? Being able to get these people to know, like, hey, this is how you make a hammer. You have to tell a story, something that they can remember in their head, right? And so when you're telling the history of your people, right, and trying to preserve a memory that happened a long, long, long time ago, you have to make it interesting, and you have to wrap it in maybe a little bit of godhood to give it some wonder, right? But I don't know that they had to change it too much to make it interesting.
No, like so right? the giant mythos, which is actually on, you and I know it's on a mythos, man, but it's actually, if you go back to the first written recordings ever, and either it be Hebrew or the Sumerian tablets, there's giants in there. There's giants. It's first thing. And
winged dudes.
Yes, exactly, right? Man. It's all littered through it, man. So yeah, so first, it's all in there, right? And it's crazy too because I came across this. I'm gonna out myself here of being like a really nerd. I actually was reading one of Abraham Lincoln's speeches. Don't ask. All right, it wasn't like I was like for fun, right? There was a reason why I was reading it, right?
The reason why I was doing that.
I was reading one of. He wasn't even president at the time, man. I was reading one of Abraham Lincoln's speeches, and he actually referenced the giant mounds in America. You can go look it up, right? And I was like,
he was from Illinois. Like, that's where a lot of the there's some old archaeological finds out there.
And I was like, what did he just say? I read it again. I'm like, dang, that's what he just said. And also too, before we move on to the next one, he believed in vampires. For real. Like, he actually believed in the supernatural hunt humans, drink blood vampires. Abraham Lincoln did, right? So, fascinating character. Anyways.
It was 1865 after all.
What is it? Oh, yeah.
It was 1865 after all.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, anyways, back to the topic at hand. Fiduciary item number 4, I think we're on, is that his crew members also reported that when they got closer to these island ranges, they reported hearing strange sounds, wailings, noises, otherworldly type of things. And again, anybody who says, oh, that was just the wind, you're wrong. You've never been at sea. You've never been out there. We have. And I'm telling you, when the wind is blowing hard enough on the ocean to make a noise, usually you're getting ready to get into a storm, right? So it's not so you
usually not want to be out there for that.
Exactly right. If it's calm enough where the wind, where you can hear something wailing, that's something weird, right? And so
we were okay. So when I was on that other little journey, I was part of the group, right? Mm-hmm. And so we were doing exercises, and we were in dead calm water one night. And exactly what you said happened, right? There was one of the other ships, like, out in formation, but far away, miles away, right? Dead flat ocean, just the stars overhead, and some dude lights a cigarette, and it flares, and nobody's supposed to be out there doing that right now, right? And so you hear, put that out. It goes
from miles away.
And they were miles away, but it was just dead flat calm, and there was no sound. Yeah, like you could just barely hear the water lapping up against the side of the ship, because this one had a little bit of a tilt to it further. Yeah. But man, it was crazy how clearly you could just hear, because he probably got yelled at him. But it was a good yell, but it was straight shot.
Yeah, sound travels, man. Like it travels, bro. Yeah,
it was awesome. It was
so
crazy.
It wasn't the wind. I don't know what they might have heard or what they might have encountered out there, but I can tell you right now that the debunkers out there saying, "Oh, they just heard the wind." You've got no sea time. I'm telling you this. That definitely was not with the wind, right? The fifth thing that he reported, right? It was that his men, right, reported, because again, when they're going ashore to, you know, get whatever they need to restock. He's not out there doing that, right? His men went out and reported that they ran into indigenous people, of course, and they gave them warnings, right? And on this channel before, we've talked several times about ignore Native American legends or lore at your own risk. Well, his men did not ignore that, right? They said, hey, look, if you want water, go here. Do not go there. Because if you go over there, you're going to run into the Serpent people. And that's one of my topics on here. Don't go over there because you're going to run into the forest spirits or whatever they would call it, right? They had a name for them or whatever, right? And they believed them. These were they were somewhat, I would say, above average and superstitious. Most sailors were back in the day. You know, these people, a lot of them could not read, could not write, right? So
when you travel, you learn that lesson, right?
You learn that lesson, right? Yeah, for sure.
You listen to the people who live there because they probably know what they're talking about.
Exactly, for sure. I mean, it's the first thing we would do when we would land in places. We'd ask the taxi driver where to go, where not to go, and he would tell us, don't go here, don't go there. And we'd actually pay him extra just here for the rest of the night. Here, ancient Enigma files, how not to get yoked in other countries. What you want to do is if you land going somewhere, you and your boys are together. How we used to roll back in the day, we would hit a taxi cab driver. We would say, hey, look, man, if we could talk to him for a few seconds and it was, you know, if we trusted him, you know, they're always pretty trustworthy people, man. We want to do X, Y, and Z and we don't want to get killed. Okay, we're going to go here, 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 and here. Good. Guess what? Tonight, take the rest of the night off. We're going to throw so much money at you by the end of the night, you won't have to work for 4 weeks. And you just wait on us. And that's what everywhere we went, we hired a taxi cab driver. He took care of us, fed us, did whatever we needed. Make sure we all got back to where we need to go, and make sure, more importantly, that we didn't get yoked in some alley on the way back.
Take us where you would go.
Exactly.
If you wanted to.
Not the touristy spots, right? So, anyways.
Right.
So, now, that was the fiduciary he experienced, right? And so, along the way, somehow his story has been turned into, and I'm going to debunk this right now because I think it's a little bit unfair, that Christopher Columbus was a serial killer, right? And I don't know who started this or who put this forward, but like that ain't even close to being true. Now I'm going off on what I would consider to be a modern day version of what we would call a serial killer, is somebody that just kills people just for fun because he's Dexter and he's got an inner monologue or something like that, right?
There's a drive there, dude.
A drive. That's good. Thank you, bro.
Yeah. It's psychopathy. It's a sickness. Like it's not okay. Like he wouldn't be able to function. Yeah. The whole crew would have been dead.
Yeah. So look, man. So
before he got to land.
So Christopher Columbus, man, was not a serial killer, and if you believe that, you probably believe a lot of other things that I would laugh at you about in a good way. Like I would laugh to your face. I wouldn't do it behind you and tell Jay, look at this nutter here, and we'd still be friends. I'd still give you a T-shirt because you know what? I hang out with this nerd, so it wouldn't be the weirdest thing I've ever heard, right?
Oh yeah, for sure,
for sure. But he wasn't a serial killer. Now, here's the thing that I'm going to talk about. It's not really something that we get into on this channel. It's not really something that we get into it, right? About people's feelings in the modern day. Do I think that we should be celebrating Christopher Columbus? Was Monday, right? When it'll be the day this airs. It'll be Columbus Day, but they changed the name to what, Indigenous Day or whatever?
Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah. Should we be celebrating him as an American hero? No. If we want to celebrate the discovery of America, we should be dressing up like Vikings and drinking mead and doing that type of. They found it first, right? Now I get it that a lot of people are in their feelings. I don't get why white people get so caught in their feelings, right? But like a lot of, a lot of Native Americans get caught up in their feelings about, and you can, I don't care. You do whatever you want, man.
Well, I mean, okay. So let's, for the Native Americans here on continental North America should have zero feelings about Columbus.
Yeah. He didn't come here. Exactly. He didn't come here.
Right.
Right.
Now for the Haitians and the the Dominicans, I'm
Yeah.
sure they have feelings about it,
Yeah,
and rightly
yeah.
so, because it was some bad stuff that happened there.
Yeah, you might want, he
right?
might have some
Humans-
explaining to do, but like if you're Navajo and
got some
Cherokee,
explaining to do there.
Christopher Columbus never set foot in North America. So
Nah,
yeah, that's
you
like
should be mad at Ponce de Leon and those guys for
yeah,
their smallpox blankets. and
small.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
Ponce de Leon killed more people than Christopher Columbus did with the sneeze. So I was just, they were dirty people back then. I've said it before, man. Those Europeans were freaking dirty, man. They were dirty, bro. So dirty.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing, right? Like we're applying 2024 logic to 1492.
1490s, man.
Right. Yeah. That's a big, right?
I actually, so one of the blessings that I've had about when I started doing this channel is that I actually get to interact with like a lot of people, and I get a lot of people that like DM me or whatever. And again, my DMs are crazy. If the best way to talk to me is, I'll tell you, I built that Discord to talk to me. So if you sit unread for like 3 months, I'm sorry, but like if you go into Discord, I'll get you at least in a day. You know what I'm saying? I'll get there.
At
right?
least, yeah, we're in there fairly often.
So I've never been to a reservation, right? I've never been anywhere. I've never even seen them. I used to date a hot Navajo chick out in San Diego, but that was years ago. Long time. Yeah. We used to go to the casino and drink. I felt bad about that afterwards. But anyways, gambling and drinking. But anyways, that's a whole nother story.
I feel bad about a lot of things back then.
But
whatever.
I just recently, about not even 4 weeks ago, I actually becoming good friends with this guy, man. He's a full-blooded Navajo, right? I mean, like 10th generation, right? And this dude, man, he's right on my alley, man. American flag waving, AR-15 toting, big tires on a truck. I'm talking about like he's our people. And so we were talking back and forth, and just in the process of communicating for over a month, he would tell me what life on the res was like. He says it's not what you think. So evidently on the reservations, and this is going to come back to my Christopher Columbus thing in a second. I'm going to tie this back in. He says there's a lot of nepotism out there. And he says that you can't just go onto a reservation and just build a house. You have to get like a permit, right? Some type of a construction permit. And they'll tell you that if you're not related to the chief or his family, they won't give them to you. And I was like, never. He's like, no. So he's like, so the people have on the outside have this the same way. Like the casinos, they're like not owned by everybody on the reservation. Like there's like a hierarchy in there. He was telling me, right? So there's a lot of poor people on the reservation, but there's also a lot of wealth. I think he said something about the jobs too. I can't really remember, man. But like, give me a shout out, bro. I won't drop your name because I don't want to put you on the spot like that. But I know he watches our show. But so Christopher Columbus never set foot in North America, y'all. So I don't know why we're so mad at why everybody's going so hard on that, right? Like he never came here. So
not really. No.
So, but the history says he wants to discover North America, and I do think that should be changed because look, one thing, I love history, Jay. So do you. I love history because it's always better than the story that they tell you, and it is always messy. There's nothing. There ain't no straight lines. Even if there's not, man. So
growing up is messy.
Yeah, man, it's always messy. So yeah, Christopher Columbus, did he take slaves? Hell yeah, they all did. Right?
He did. They all did.
They all did. Right? It's 1492. Everybody who could afford one had three. Right? So yeah, so he went there. Did he take advantage? Sure did. Same way that it was that I think it was De Leon when he was trading the Colombians mirrors and 10 cups for 20 gold bars or whatever. So,
I mean, they just did what humans did back then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They did. I mean, it's not defensible, but you're applying a little bit more of an enlightened point of view to something that happened hundreds of years ago to people that were using candles and torches, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like here's another thing too, though. It's hypocritical application of morals. Write that down. Put that on a T-shirt. I'll say that again for you. It's hypocritical application of morals. Before the conquistadors showed up to, and the whole thing in Central and South America went down, they were murdered. They murdered 30,000 people to get it to rain one year or something crazy like that.
And
What was that
the
movie?
Native Americans weren't exactly nice to each other either.
Oh, no. So, like, a matter of fact, like, the word Comanche meant enemy forever. Doesn't mean free hugs, right? The word Comanche literally means enemy forever, right? And so, like, all the tribes warred. Everybody warred. What happened is the same thing that happened when the Romans, who were all 5'4" and 5'5", showed up in Germany and met all those 6'3", 6'5", 6'6" dudes. The Romans smoked them because they had a phalanx and shields and spears and cavalry
for a little while.
But then
they got in there, and then they hit the river, and then that was all.
Yeah. So
they got mad. Then the Celts got mad.
Yeah.
Started importing their mushrooms, and then that was it.
So back then, it really was a real life game of risk. You colonize things, right? You show up and you get it. Matter of fact, I did some thinking about this today, bro.
Yeah.
The only nation to never be conquered during that time period was Japan. Period. Think about it.
No, I am.
So,
they were.
And the reason, no. So look, so they had a trade agreement.
They went a long time as like a
isolationist.
Yeah, but there was also some Chinese influence there.
Well, no. So check this out, right? They had a trade agreement with the Portuguese, and then they slowly opened it up with the English.
Oh yeah.
There was no, so they tried to take Japan over with Catholicism. It did not work, and the reason why is because when I say that the Romans were 5'4" and 5'5", the Japanese were 5'4" and 5'5", but they all carried around 3-foot razor blades, and they've been swinging them for 2,000 years. That's why Japan. There was a reason why Portugal and Spain and England didn't just land 4 ships, because they would have their heads would have been gone in a day. They would have stuck them on spikes. That's the only difference.
They were on their guard. They were very much on their guard because of China anyway, right? Because there was constant incursions from Korea and China towards Japan.
Matter of fact, so look, matter of fact, so Christopher Columbus showed up just like Ponce de Leon showed up, just like everybody. When an advanced civilization showed up in that time frame with better weapons and more warfare, you lost. Period. Same thing happened here. But before we got there, nobody on the planet was peaceful. Native Americans here, I know y'all don't like to talk about it, man. You had slaves, the Pawnee conquered the Blackfeet, the Cherokee, all this other stuff, right? So
there was like 4 or 5 states at war, all up and down just the East Coast when the Puritans came over.
Yeah, and so
before they even thought about coming over.
So and I know that I can say, well, it was a different kind of war. It wasn't colonization or whatever. Tomato. Killing is killing.
It was a different kind of war. They would go to the neighboring camp or tribes, like whatever tribes resting place was, and they would just kill all the men and steal all the women.
Yeah. Well, if they were,
and that was how that went down.
And the only
really awful.
And the only society that never happened to was the Japanese, because the Japanese were taking showers 2,000 years before the Europeans were taking showers. They had the Japanese were so hands off, man. We've been to Japan. Hands down. There was no greater warrior than the samurai. And I will tell you this now, because Genghis Khan tried to invade twice. He got the shore. There was a storm on the first go around. Yes, it depleted his forces. He got the shore for the first, on both times he got there. And again, fact check us, go look this up. The Japanese in the first 4 days were overwhelmed by their techniques about how they would fight from horses. The Japanese weren't used to that, right? And so the first couple of days, the Japanese took heavy losses, but they pivoted. The Japanese said, okay, they won't engage us in one-on-one single combat. They adopted their strategies, and they started using their longbows to knock them down. And what they did was they shot their horses They forced them. They weren't shooting at the riders. The Japanese killed their horses, right? And so they forced them onto the ground, and it was over after that, right? The Japanese rolled in and just motored them, right? They came back a second time. The second time they came back, the Japanese were ready for them. They basically invented the cow trip. I don't know if you know what a cow trip is they threw all these metal spikes on the ground, and the horses maimed themselves. And then again, they waited 3 days, and the Japanese just went down there and collected their heads at that, right? So if Christopher Columbus had landed in the Dominican Republic and they were wielding samurai swords and bows and arrows and spears, it would have been a totally different story. It's how it went down.
I mean, that's, and that's the whole argument, like, with any kind of first contact situation, right? The one with their highest technology is inevitably going to destroy the culture it finds.
Yes,
right?
if it wants to.
Well, I mean,
if it wants to.
You've got to be...
Bro, let me tell you
the
this.
amount of care it would require for you to do that without at the bare minimum disrupting. Like, okay, so let's just take a scenario, for example. There's still, and I can't believe it, but there's still uncontacted tribes in South America.
Yeah.
Right? Walk up to one of these dudes, like literally you, me, and an iPhone. We'll probably be dead in about 3 hours.
Oh, for sure.
Because we are aliens to them, right? If we march in force, right? If there's more of us than there is of them, and we're all ready, it ain't gonna go down, right? Like their world has irrevocably changed at that point because they know that there is something other than them.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree. But like I said, if we wanted to go down and for example, if we wanted Cuba, we could have it in a week. You know what I'm saying? But if we wanted to maintain Cuba's sovereignty and say, hey, look, we're going to help you and we're going to do this, we could do that as well, right? So if we wanted Cuba, it would be part of Miami. Call it South Miami.
The problem is humans, though.
Huh?
The problem is humans.
That's not a problem for me. I don't know what problem you got down there. So
no, here's what I mean by that, right? We tried to do that in Iran.
Oh yeah. No. Totally. I totally get that. Yeah. So if they wanted to,
they're going to be resentful.
Yeah. If they wanted to, yeah. If they wanted to assimilate.
There's always going to be people that don't want you to, though. Yeah. That's the thing. And you got to, how do you figure out?
No, that's a good point.
If there's more that do want you to than don't want you to, because I want you to think about this. What if Germany just decided, I'm not real crazy about the president of the United States.
Maybe they be Americans?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Possible. But anyways.
And then, but I mean, let's play it out for a second, right? How would you feel about that? We're replacing your government because we don't really feel like it's serving your best interests.
Yeah, no, I totally get that, man. It would have to be like a choice, right?
Kind of way about that.
Yeah,
you're gonna feel some kind of way about that, for sure.
Yeah, that's why if you read military history, man, that's why there's actually a Russian, I can't remember his name, a Russian general actually wrote about that. That's why they just gunned down everybody. There's these people they'll never bend the knee, they'll never assimilate. So you have to.
Yeah, they're not interested.
They're not interested. We have nothing they want, is what he said, man. So that's when did it. Anyways, so now we gave you the cool stuff about Columbus. We gave you what he was, what he's not, how our history is lied. Now I'm going to give you something, because I always like to do this, that I found interesting, is the top 3, and there's actually 8 of them, but I picked my top 3 conspiracy theories on who actually Christopher Columbus was. All right. So one is that Christopher Columbus was actually a Jew who converted to Christianity, and his voyage was an attempt for him to flee the Spanish Inquisition, right? Now, I thought that was funny, but I actually think that is the longest reach of all of them, right? The longest reach of them all, right? So, but I thought it was interesting, right? That he wasn't even who it was so foreign that he wasn't even who you thought he was. The other two now. So that one I picked the one I thought was the least likely to be true. I think that was the least likely one to be true. Now I'm getting to two that I think are absolutely 100% true, right? 100% true. Are you ready, bro?
Sure.
All right. Christopher Columbus was the conspiracy theory is that Christopher Columbus was actually a member of the Knights Templar, which is a medieval Christian military order. We need to do a podcast on who the Knights Templar are, Jay. Remind me to do that down the road. And that his voyage was actually not funded by the Spanish. It was funded by the Templars, right? And there is several things in there that actually back that up. Number one was his colors of choice, which was a white flag with a red Templar cross on it. In fact, even his sails were white with a red cross. He had a lot of Templar symbology or whatever into the voyage. And that he was not only that this is where it gets good. They already knew that that he did not land in North America on purpose because they already knew it existed, because there are several great theories about how the Templars fled and actually made it to North America. He wasn't going to get gold. He was taking it there to hide that he was taking gold away. Man, that's a great theory. That'd be a great movie that way, man. Right, bro? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So.
And that his story.
Laying that out.
Well, that
there's also another legend that there were Knights Templar that made it 1362.
Where? 16 when?
1362.
Oh yeah. So there you go. Right. So.
Right. There's some weird things floating around that say that Templar items have been found in America from that 1362 time period, right? So if they were trying to bring it south or trying to find each other, right, and didn't quite connect.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so that's my favorite one. That right there is my favorite one. There's 8 of them, right? That right there is my favorite one. I'm like, dang, man, that's a good story right there, right? So yeah. And that his cover story was that they vilified him, and that's why they made up all this bad stuff. Like, oh no, it was this, that, and the other, or whatever. And again, he's supposed to be Italian, and the Spanish supposedly paid for it. And like they had all these other great explorers as well, Ponce de Leon, all these other guys. I don't know if he was alive at that time, or whatever, but they had all these other guys going on. I'm just saying.
But
it makes you think.
Looking into the Italian history of the time, though, it was broken up into like little tiny nation states. So one of the thoughts that comes to my mind, and I don't know how valid this is or not, is I don't know that there was a power big enough with funding enough to be able to put a thing like this together in Italy at the time.
Except the Templars,
right?
If you follow that thread.
Right, but the Templars would line up with Spain more than Italy, because that was on the road to the Middle East, right? It was on the Crusaders road.
I think so. I think they had to go across and eventually get on a boat there.
They had to go through Spain. Well, that's where you go from the southern Spanish coast to Morocco, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have to look at a map.
So while you're doing that, I'll tell you the third one. The third one I found the most interesting, right? It's because this has a lot of historic play in it, right? Is at the same time that at the same time Christopher Columbus, coinciding at the same time when Christopher Columbus left, Isabel and Fernando they expelled the Moors from Granada. And Granada is a beautiful place, right? And so again, it makes me laugh because the Moors totally conquered and enslaved and colonized Spain, right? And they pushed them out. And they said that this theory was that Fernando and Isabella believed that it was a religious duty, that they had been given a vision that Christopher Columbus was supposed to take and go and secure new lands for Christianity, right? That he was supposed to go over there and do that. Because they believed in an apocalyptic type expansion of everybody always thinks it's the end of days, right? And they thought that there was some kind of thing that was going on, right? And again, I thought that was actually a really good one to go in as well, because nothing that he did showed any type of Christianity expansion whatsoever when he came over here, right? He didn't show up baptizing people. You know what I'm saying, right? Showed up doing all this other stuff, right? And I thought it contrasted the ones. But there's actually 8 of them. You can go look them up. I don't want to turn into that, man, but like the second one is I think has legs on it, man, that Christopher Columbus was actually a mermaid seeing, UFO seeing, giant seeing, cryptid seeing, Knights Templar ferrying gold out of to establish, the Knights Templar. Now the Knights Templar, that leads into Freemason beliefs and all this other stuff and New World Order beliefs or whatever. It just depends on how deep you want to get into that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But this is what they should be. There. Oh, man. A lot of secret handshakes, man. A lot of grips in there. But this is the history they should be teaching. Teach this. Teach this in the 4th grade.
It's important, right? Because these organizations in the background have been around forever. Like there's always these people, right, who wanna be in the background and like play the piano without being seen.
Yeah.
Right. And
so
who knows? Like they got deep pockets.
Oh yeah, well it's easy to have deep pockets when you take everything, but like I said, if I have $1 and you have none, I'm rich. You're not. I have $1. So like I said, if you.
But see, I think that the age of the secret society is kind of coming to a close.
Oh, it's done.
When everybody has a camera in their pocket, right?
No, yes, you got us dropping truth bombs out here all the time, man.
And that's what I'm saying. I think as the information gets out there, I think it'll be harder and harder to hide.
I took the stuffing out of a Freemason today.
Did you?
Started yesterday. Yeah. Letting them know what was up, man. He was trying to drop things like I didn't know. And he's like, how do you know? And I'm like, figure it out, dumb, how I know. So, anyways, Jay, like we always do, throwing some questions. All right. Steve couldn't join us tonight. He's off somewhere doing some research. I think he's getting fitted for a new eyeball. So who knows? Anyways,
getting fitted for a new eyeball.
I'm gonna ask you a few questions. You can give me your speed round answers. Did he see a mermaid? Yes or no?
He saw a manatee, dude.
He saw a mermaid in Enigmites, right?
I think he saw a manatee.
Did he see a UFO, a Tic Tac?
I'm pretty sure he saw a Tic Tac.
Yeah, see, I know you like them Tic Tacs, dog.
No, look, when I have seen it, and then someone else describes it, yeah, I think he saw a Tic Tac.
Totally saw a Tic Tac UFO for sure, USO, right?
I mean, it described it pretty well.
Yeah, just like they would describe it in that time, right there, man. Down to the blurry skipping that it does.
Movement.
Giants, Jay, real or not?
I think it's entirely possible. I do, because there's always genetic anomalies, right? And I think that there's a lot of giant talk around all the time.
Okay.
And I think if you hear it enough, there's probably a thread of truth there, right? Always.
For sure. Now ask me, dog. Ask me, bro.
What do you think, Jeff?
Oh yeah, those giants are real, baby. oh yeah, them giants are real, baby. Them are real. All right. Number 4, lizard people. Lizards in the jungle.
Dude, I don't think there's any lizards people that far south. I think they're mostly in the
Grand Canyon,
Appalachian caves.
Yes, for sure.
Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe they're mad.
Maybe
because now the caves are getting uncomfortable because
we keep flooding them.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. So, anyways,
right.
Jay, was he a serial killer?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Maybe not a great guy, because he did some pretty nasty things in the governorship that he was there. He wasn't exactly a gentle governor.
Yeah.
Not a serial killer.
He took the fear me not love me route. I'll tell you that right now.
Definitely.
So All
not
right,
exactly a nice person.
Not a serial killer. Colonizer J of the Americas?
Not North America.
No. Central America, maybe. Might have laid the way, but no. All right.
Well, he was an explorer, right? He was there for new things and wealth.
Yeah. All right, so here's the big one. Here's a big one. Big one. Christopher Columbus, an American hero, Jay, or not? Should we be celebrating this guy's achievements?
See, I'm not a big fan of revisionism.
Really?
Right? Nah, I'm not. I think context is important, right? I think it really, really, really is. For the time, the guy did some very courageous stuff.
Right.
Right? If you look at him through the lens of 1492, right? He was pushing boundaries. So you got to give him credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
He got on a ship with a bunch of dudes and just go this way instead. So he might not have been a good person, but and this comes to the question that everybody asks: can you separate the achievements from the person? And it's a very kind of nebulous question there, right?
Yeah. So my thing is
how bad the person.
Yeah, no, right. So like, no, you can't say that he didn't accomplish great things. It's foolish to say that he didn't.
Right.
It's also foolish to say that he was. I hate when people say, "Oh, he's so stupid," and he's like, "You can't." Stupid people don't take over countries, man. They're not stupid. They might have. They might be morally, lacking, but they're not dumb. And he did great things. But here's my thing, right? I don't think we should, and I'll tell you why. It's not for the woke. It's not for the woke. Hurt your feelings. I don't care to hurt your feelings, right? It's not the woke reason that you got. Christopher Columbus needs to be taken out of American history because I love history and moved into world history. We should still teach him. Does he deserve his own day? No. But neither.
Not really.
In my opinion,
do Indigenous people deserve their own day?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so either. I don't think anybody deserves their own day. I'm saying like your own day.
I do. Do you know why? Why they deserve their own day, in my opinion?
It's Thanksgiving, right? No? I'm saying that's an honest question, right?
That's the Puritan holiday. Okay, so Thanksgiving is when the Puritans... Thanksgiving is actually, like, I love Thanksgiving from the perspective of, let's just get everybody down at the table, right?
Pumpkin spice latte.
Everybody down at the table, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, whatever, let's just all sit down at the table and have a meal together. That I dig, right? And if we, did a little bit more of the, hey, let's just talk thing, I think everybody'd be better off. But that's a separate issue.
So,
I think we should celebrate Indigenous people because we celebrate everybody else too.
So now here's my thing. I don't have a dog in the fight.
And they deserve a little bit of recognition for literally having been here and gotten a really, really bum rap.
Bro, here's my thing. Are you done? You need a tissue? You want to cry?
I'm done. No, I'm done. I'm off my box.
Get off your soapbox there, really, for a single tear rolls down his face. Look.
Yeah, whatever.
Here's my thing, right? And people might say, I can't believe he'd have said that. If you haven't turned off and give me 60 seconds, I'll warm your heart back up.
Okay, warm my heart back up.
Christopher Columbus doesn't need his day. Indigenous people doesn't need his day. We don't need months for people at all. This month, everybody's got a month, right? July 4th. If you live in this land, that's our day. We should celebrate everybody's day. Your accomplishments in this country, and I will go up one side of your face and down the other, just talking history. All works together. World War II, we had the code talkers, Navajos. You also had a lot of white boys dying in Iwo Jima. You also had a lot of Tuskegee Airmen dying. You also had a squadron of the Japanese that were fighting over in Germany and after we put them in internment camps. Everybody's got a raw deal in America, dum-dums, right? So you don't need to say, my raw deal is more raw than your raw deal because I got the raw deal first. So if your dad walks into a house, slaps you, then your brother, does your brother get more sympathy because he got hit first? No, you both took a beating, nerds. So look, we need to bring bullying back, bro. I'm telling you, man, we need to bring bullying back. We don't need days. We don't need months. We need to.
I don't know about bringing bullying back.
I think that's man. I'm telling you, man. I knew you were gonna say that. Look, First of all, 4th of July needs to be a week where we celebrate Americans, right? Period.
I don't disagree with that at all.
We don't need to.
I like the idea of celebrating America,
Yeah,
and not just blah, 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 whatever.
yeah.
Right?
Because if you've
together.
ever been in a fight and it was about to go down, and I look to my left, there could be an alien there, or a black dude, or an orange dude, or a purple dude. I just need to know: are you with me? Yeah, let's get them. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't no. Yeah. Well, this, that, and the other. Throw this out. And I knew you little. You know what? You're getting soft. That's your problem. You're getting soft. Look here, Snowflake.
You know why? Here's the thing.
And you live in Hanover. That's why.
I can make a case.
That's why.
I can make a.
You need you need your Southern re-education, boy. That's the problem. You're up there with them Yankees, right? Man.
No, see, you don't even know this place. Anyway,
answer me this question.
You wouldn't say that if there is. This is a.
Answer me this question.
Yeah.
What was the name of that bully that used to kick the crap out of you in Georgia? What was his name?
Which one?
So yeah, but the one you took a broom handle to one time when you finally had enough. What was that kid? You know what I'm talking about?
That one, I don't remember his name. So, those were just random faces.
Listen, bro, those beatings you took, as crazy as it sounds, man, those beatings you took until you finally snapped, broke a broom handle, and went to Pound Town on this kid, made you the man that you are today, son. Without those beatings, you wouldn't be. I've seen you do some wild stuff, and I've seen you build some crazy stuff. You would not be doing that without those beatings. We need to bring those beatings back.
I don't disagree at all. Yeah, no, exactly. Absolutely. I would not change a minute of it, right? Simply because I learned a lot in a very short period of time.
Yes.
Right? Absolutely. Have I taken one too many blows to the head? Probably. I don't know. But sure, like it did. It was a very useful education, right? Yeah. I'm not saying that anybody else should have to go through that, though. Right? I go the other way. I think difference is awesome, but I think difference together, right? Like we should celebrate the difference instead of use it as a thing to divide ourselves. America is not about that, right? It's the melting pot where the whole place of us is immigrants. Unless you got like gray feather after your name or something like that, you're a freaking immigrant, man. Like I know when my people got here. They got here at 1750, right? They've been here since. So am I still an immigrant? Like I'm like 6th or 7th generation American. Like my people have been here since it was before it was a country. We fought in literally every war. I'm like Lieutenant Dan, right? I've got relatives in every war all the way back to the Revolution. So like, I don't know. I think the differences is what makes America function so well. We got so many different ideas and perspectives that it makes it.
It's part of our strengths, man. What it is, man, is like I said, totally man. Our strength. But critical thinking with a diverse group of minds, and I don't mean this in the whole vomit woke DEI stuff they do, man. I'm talking about like a real problem, like like this, like we're like if we don't fix this boat's going to sink. We're going to die. That's a real problem, right? So
and that's what America's good at, coming together for those kind of problems.
That's what we're good at. But anyways, Jay, so little snowflake, remind me this because I know you're into this. How do you make a sword?
Smack it.
You heat it up and you beat on it. You heat it up and you beat on it until it's sharp. That's all I'm saying.
And then you bend it over, and then you beat on it some more.
Beat it some more, man. You fold it and you beat it until it can't be broken and it's razor sharp. Just saying. Anyways, nerds, if you're stuck around this long, you're our kind of what? People. You're our people, man. You're our kind of people. Do us a favor. I don't really care if you do it a favor. Do what you're told. Hit the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us a comment down there on whether you think that Christopher Columbus should be a national hero. I think it should be moved into the world history and out of the
more American like a historical figure.
Definitely a historical figure, man.
Hero.
You can't deny that,
Historical
right?
figure.
Yeah, historical
Yeah.
figure, right? Can't deny that, right?
Hero.
Like I said, I love history, the good, the bad, and the gray. Anyways, let us know what you think in the comments. And that's all you get for $1. We're out, nerds.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.